The relationship between Gongfu, commonly spelled Kung Fu, and warfare, as well as its evolution and adaptation to changing combat needs, is a fascinating topic that touches on both historical military practices and cultural exchanges. Here's a brief overview of how these elements interconnect. 1. The role of Gongfu in historical wars and conflicts. Gongfu has long been a critical component of Chinese martial culture, and it played an important role in various historical wars and conflicts, particularly before the modern era. It was often employed by soldiers, generals, and warriors to enhance physical capabilities, improve combat readiness, and develop discipline. Specific styles of Gongfu were created and refined for use in different combat situations. Shaolin Monastery and the military. The Shaolin Temple is often credited with being a primary institution for the development of Gongfu, particularly during the Tang Dynasty 618 to 907 AD. Monks from Shaolin, including legendary figures like the 13 Shaolin monks who fought against the Woko pirates in the 16th century, are said to have developed martial techniques that could be used in warfare. Elite guards and assassins. Many Gongfu styles, such as those practiced by the imperial guards or secret societies, were developed for self-defense, stealth, or assassination. These styles emphasized swift, lethal moves that could be used against enemies in close-quarter combat. General use in warfare. Gongfu techniques such as grappling, striking, and weapon-based combat were also employed by soldiers on the battlefield. For example, the use of the spear, staff, and sword was integral to traditional Chinese martial arts, and these weapons were often wielded in large-scale conflicts. 2. How Gongfu evolved to adapt to different warfare tactics and weaponry. As weaponry and tactics evolved, so too did Gongfu. The advent of new technologies and the changing nature of warfare influenced the direction in which Gongfu developed, from hand-to-hand combat to weapons mastery. In early periods, Gongfu focused more on hand-to-hand combat and battlefield agility. However, as the use of weapons like spears, swords, and polearms became more widespread, Gongfu styles adapted. Weapons training was integrated into the practice of martial arts to ensure that warriors could fight effectively both with and without weapons. The role of cavalry and archery. The rise of cavalry and archery in Chinese warfare necessitated changes in the martial arts as well. Gongfu evolved to include techniques to counter mounted warriors and archers, with a focus on agility and evasion. Certain styles emphasized speed and agility to outmaneuver opponents on horseback, while others developed techniques for disarming or neutralizing archers. Gunpowder and firearms. With the introduction of firearms during the Ming Dynasty 1368 to 1644 and later, Gongfu practitioners had to adapt once again. While traditional hand-to-hand combat techniques remained important, Gongfu began to incorporate training for disarming opponents with firearms or dealing with the new forms of warfare that were becoming dominant. 3. The influence of foreign cultures on the development of Gongfu styles. The development of Gongfu was not purely an internal Chinese phenomenon. It was also shaped by interactions with foreign cultures, both through trade and military conquest. Here are a few ways foreign influences impacted the evolution of Gongfu. Buddhist influence. The spread of Buddhism from India to China had a profound impact on the development of Gongfu, particularly in the creation of styles that emphasize discipline, balance, and spiritual growth. The integration of Buddhist philosophies into martial arts led to the formation of internal styles of Gongfu, like Tai Chi, which focused on the development of internal energy qi and harmonious movement. Mongol influence. The Mongol invasions and the subsequent Yuan dynasty 1271 to 1368 also had an influence on Chinese martial arts. Mongol warriors were skilled in mounted combat and archery, which prompted Chinese martial artists to develop more sophisticated counter techniques for cavalry and archers. In addition, the Mongols brought their own styles of combat, which mixed with Chinese traditions. Western influence and the introduction of firearms. With the arrival of Western powers in China during the 16th century and later during the Qing dynasty 1644 to 1912, the use of firearms became more prevalent. Western martial arts and weaponry also started influencing Chinese martial traditions. For example, the concept of fencing and swordsmanship, as practiced in Europe, and the use of firearms influenced the development of Gongfu techniques related to sword fighting and defense against gunmen. Japanese influence. The influence of Japanese martial arts, particularly through the Okinawan connection, also played a role in the development of some Chinese Gongfu styles. The exchange of martial traditions between Japan and China, particularly in the use of weapons and empty-hand combat, contributed to the evolution of certain techniques. In summary, Gongfu is not just a traditional martial art. It is a dynamic practice that has evolved over centuries, shaped by military needs, technological advancements, and cultural exchanges. From the hand-to-hand combat of early warriors to the integration of foreign weapons and philosophies, Gongfu's history mirrors the broader patterns of Chinese warfare and cultural exchange.